The Molly Maguire Auto Tour is an auto tour encompassing two counties here in Pennsylvania, Carbon County and Schuylkill County, which was basically the center of most Molly Maguire activities here in the anthracite region. The auto tour was created probably in the early 1990s by two national heritage areas working together, the Schuylkill River National Heritage Area, which extends to Schuylkill County, and the Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor, which extends through Carbon County. Both heritage corridors jointly funded and organized this joint auto tour of the two communities. Basically, the final product that came out of that was a great deal of research and documentation on all of the Molly Maguire sites located in each county, who the players were, what the key stories were, and it also encompassed erecting historic auto tour signs at each location that they can be followed on a map. So the final product, again, was a map and a CD and cassette tape series, which are available for purchase at various visitors centers in the area. And it takes you on anywhere from a 6 to 10 hour tour of the two counties, basically self-guided in your own automobile, but it includes a full color booklet and a lot of great detail, reenactors using voiceovers for each site. So it's very well done. It's something we're really proud of, and think it really tells a story that's important to the anthracite region in the Tamaqua area, which is the story of labor and the coal industry. Tamaqua did play an important part in the Molly Maguire saga. There's quite a few sites located here in Tamaqua that are featured in the auto tour, some of them being the Tamaqua train station, where the bodies of the Molly Maguires were kept overnight following the hangings in Pottsville, awaiting burial the next day, the Daniel Shep home, the James Carroll Saloon, Kerrigan's house on the South Ward, Kerrigan Spring, the Oddfellow Cemetery, Tamaqua Police Officer Benjamin Yost's grave, and the graves of other Molly Maguires in both the Oddfellow Cemetery and the old St. Jerome Cemetery here in Tamaqua. Actually, the key kingpin in the Molly Maguire saga was a gentleman by the name of John Blackjack Kehoe, who was the alleged ringleader of the Molly Maguires. He is buried in old St. Jerome Cemetery with a historic marker near his gravesite. People ask quite often, why was he buried here after living and being actually a hotel owner in Girardville? Well, the reason he was buried here was upon his death, his wife, Mary Ann Kehoe, was actually born and raised here in Tamaqua. So it was her family's plot that he was buried on. Old St. Jerome Cemetery also was the second largest Irish Catholic cemetery in Schuylkill County. So it was an appropriate place for him to be buried in that setting. The murder site of Tamaqua Police Officer Benjamin Franklin Yost is located at the corner of West Broad and Lehigh Streets in Tamaqua. On the night of July 6, 1875, Police Officer Yost was making his rounds during the late night hours. I believe it was actually about 2 a.m. in the morning. He was making his way up West Broad Street and was about to extinguish the last gas street lamp for the evening before he returned home at the end of his shift. This was typically part of a police officer's duties in those days, was to extinguish the street lights. So as he was putting his ladder against the lamp post at the corner of West Broad and Lehigh Streets, as he was halfway up the ladder, out of the darkness, 3 assailants came running and gunned him down under the cover of darkness. He never got to see who the assailants were, but they quickly ran and hid afterwards. His wife heard the shots. His home was actually less than a half a block from that corner on South Lehigh Street. His wife heard the shots, came running out to the intersection, and saw her husband stumble off the ladder to the ground. She helped him across the street to their home, which is still viewable today on South Lehigh Street. And he lingered during the night and died the next morning. His brother-in-law was a famous banker here in Tamaqua by the name of Daniel Shep, and Daniel Shep used his prominence in the community and his connections to actually hire the Pinkerton Detective Agency of Philadelphia to come to the coal regions and infiltrate the Molly Maguires and try and get to the bottom of who killed his brother-in-law. This act, the murder of Benjamin Yost, is actually believed to be the turning point in the entire story of the Molly Maguires in the region. With this final act and the prosecution starting as far as bringing the Pinkertons to the region, really was the downhill turn that started to bring the Mollys down. And from then from thenceforth, there were multiple convictions and so forth.